Okay, right here is a 1963 John Deere 4010 diesel. The 4010 was built from 1961 to 1963, just had a 3-year run. Right here we have a 1966 John Deere 4020 diesel. The 4020 was produced from 1964 to 1972. In 1964 to 1968 were the same with the in-dash hydraulic levers, which we'll get to in a minute. Then the 69, 70, 71, and 72 were what was referred to as a side console tractor, and they were a improved version 4020. And there were others to the mix, which we will also get to in this video. But for this video, I'm mainly going to be comparing a 4010 versus a 4020. And there also is a 3020 in the shop here, which I will show you some of the similarities. For the first part of this video, I'm going to compare the front halves of these tractors, the 4010, the 4020. That'll be from the bell housing forward. And there's not a huge amount of differences in the front half of these tractors, so this will be a little bit lesser part of the video. But 4010 and a 4020, this is a diesel, and that 4020 is also a diesel, so I'll be comparing diesel to diesel. But they were available in LP gases, gasolines. Unfortunately, you don't have any of those here to display. Starting with this 4010, these were a 380 cubic inch engine. It was the same engine block, and most of the engine accessories were the same as the 4020. They just had a thicker sleeve in them. Then later, they, when the 4020s came out, they bored them to 404. The 380 could be made into a 404, which is a different overhaul kit. And the 380 engine was rated at 80 horsepower. I think Nebraska tested it produced 84 horse. Then the later 4020s, which is the only data I have as brochures, were rated at 94.85 horsepower. The cowling, the hood, side badges, screens, frame rails, side panels are identical on a 4010 and the 4020. And that is up to the year of 1968. The front axle is also identical. Then the weight brackets, which these came with multiple different weights, would also be the same. This particular 4010 has been converted over to a glass element as well as an alternator. The oil coolers are different than on a 4020. I'll show that to you here. And this oil dipstick is just a little bit different as well. Few little changes. I believe there was several series of injection pumps that they used throughout the years and vintages. And just about every 4010 you're going to find has a dry element air cleaner. When you get into the 4020s, you will find, or I mean an oil bath air cleaner. When you get into a 4020, you're going to find some dry elements and then some oil baths. This particular 4020 has an oil bath air cleaner, which it will be getting converted over to a dry element at some point. And this one does have an MW turbocharger kit on it. The later 4020s, I'm not sure which serial number it was. Some of the 68s came out. This casting here, instead of being round, was a square pipe, which gave it greater airflow. And this particular tractor still got the 24 volt John Deere 24 volt starter. And on the other side here, you can see the original alternator, or generator, I mean. And there's the later model oil cooler, which is not an offset design, more of an inline. A little different oil dipstick. And this one has what they call the pencil injectors. And that 4010's got the great big round injectors over there. So depending on the serial numbers, that's what type of injectors you'll get. Again, this is a 404 at basically 95 horsepower. And the 4010s were a 380 at 80 horsepower. Otherwise, most of the front of the tractor is the same. And this particular tractor had a loader on it. So we're going to sand these frame rails out and paint them. And it does have a leaky fuel pump, which I have a brand new one in a box over here. Okay, let's take a look at the rear half of the tractor. Now this is where quite a few differences are. The 4020 was available in a synchro range or a power shift. Now this particular one is a power shift transmission, and the 10 series were all synchro range. The only power shift 10 series was, I believe, a 2510, which came out with the 20 series tractors, and were more like a 20 series than a 10 series, even though they weren't branded as or labeled as a 10. But again, the 4010s are all synchro range. Now 4020 synchro range and a 4010 synchro range are quite similar, so I don't have a direct comparison here. Now on this 4010, the clutch lever is obviously quite a bit different. You don't have the valve body because of the way that the clutch operates. 4010s, 4020s, synchro range transmissions. They were a dry clutch system, and they had gears. Obviously, some were synchronized. I personally do not like a synchro range transmission. What happens with a synchro range transmission, when you disengage your clutch or push your clutch pedal down, the transmission stops. In the back of the transmission, there's a little pump, and it's called a scavenge pump, or a transmission pickup pump, different names for it. That picks oil up out of the transmission case, because that's where your oil lays, and that pumps it up front to the main hydraulic pump, which is behind the screen down underneath there. So scavenge pump picks it up out of the rear, pumps it up here. There's an oil cooler, and that goes down into the main hydraulic pump. Main hydraulic pump then pressures the tractor, which there's a series of valve bodies underneath the hood here, which are attached to these levers, and then those will run your accessories. So for example, if you have a loader on a 4010 or 4020 synchro range, and you go up above a manure spreader or whatever you're dumping in, push your clutch in, and you raise your hydraulic to lift your loader, what will happen is, because that pump back there is no longer feeding this because the clutch is in, so there's nothing powering that pump, the only oil you have is the cooler and little reservoir that drains into here. So if this cylinder to lift the loader takes a gallon, and you only have a gallon, by the time that thing reaches top stroke, you're out of oil. That's why when you go to lift the loader with a synchro range tractor, you'll start to have a lot of chattering. Now on the power shift, the transmission and the scavenge pump and everything runs 100% of the time, and even if you push the clutch pedal, there's always this scavenge pump will be running, and the clutch pedal is actually just a hydraulic valve that does nothing more than separate the clutch packs in there, which is what would act as, clutching the tractor. Now for the differences between this, because again this is a synchro range, the other one is a power shift, but there's still going to be some similar differences. Now let's start up here. You got the dash cowl. 10 series have a different lever. You'll also notice the PTO lever being on the left side of the dash. You'll notice that the ether canister is on the side of the dash, and then the platform, battery box, bell housing, clutch will all be the same as a 4020 if it was a synchro range. That one again is a little different because it's power shift. Up here on the instrumentation panel, this is a 4020 tack, but they did have a different tack. They have a different gauges there, and this is a protruded design. You can see it's protruded, it's flat, and they were all painted green. And here you have a little in-dash deal that opens up, and it was your owner's manual in here. And down here you have your key switch and everything. They're stuck together. There's the engine kill switch. It's a pull cable. And see how this is recessed, and these are all packed together tighter. On the hydraulic levers, they're shorter, and they have different buttons, and the 3-point lever is about the same height as the hydraulic levers. The column here and the synchro range gear lever is the same. If this was a 4020 synchro range, you would have a long lever over here. And again, this lever will be different. But being on the power shift there, the left-hand lever is what they call a transmission disconnect clutch, which is for cold weather starting. It actually does have a clutch in the bell housing, but it's only manually disengaged with that lever. Now on the right side, you just have a little tiny lever, which is PTO, and that all it does is engage, again, hydraulics. Okay, the rest of the 4010 here, you have same battery box as a 4020. You have the same shaped rocker shaft covers as a 4020, but you notice there's no toolbox in there. Same fenders as a 4020, and that toolbox that's on a 4020 is in that deal on a 4010 was over here on the side of the fender. And the rear transmission case is substantially smaller on a 4010. This housing here is actually a little smaller. This cover here, which houses your top 3-point hook, which goes up into your rocker shaft housing, is also different with the valving to go into your rocker shaft. Your piston speed's different. Your hydraulic outlets are different. They're an individualized box with the levers up top that pull down instead of 4020s where they have underneath. And 3-point arms, I believe, are the same as a 4020. PTO had a little pin that came out here to hold, which this one's broken. He wants me to fix it. That holds the PTO shaft, and you can notice that the stub shafts are splined on there, whereas a 4020, this was all cast different. I'll show you here, which held the additional shaft on the tractor. Now here's the 4020. You can see it's got the different style clip that holds the so many vehicle or the PTO shield. You have the spare PTO holder there, and then you have the snap ring in PTO, different hydraulic boxes, and again, this unit here is different, and the top 3-point link is different. Now this is a 4020, so it has 3 3/8 inch axles in the flanges there, which is a bigger axle shaft. The 4010s here used a 3 1/8 inch axle. The 4010s, then the 4000, and the 3020 all had 3 1/8 inch. The 4020 was 3 3/8. And then again, I have the rocker shaft covers off of this, but some of this is the same, like 3-point lift cables and things, but some of the plumbing and valve bodies are different. And again, rear transmission case is different, PTO is different. So quite a bit of differences in the rear ends of the 4010 versus the 4020. You'll find similarities, such as the brake valve's the same, but transmission case is the main difference. A lot heavier and upgraded on a 4020. And then here's a 3020, and it uses the same power shift pack unit inside as a 4020, but it only again uses the 3 1/8 axle. I believe they're the same housing, they just have a smaller axle shaft in them, but more similarities to a 4020 than the 4010, but just smaller smaller axle shafts. But the transmission, the pack units, which is your main transmission, which is underneath here and down in your transmission, actually is the same part number on a 3010 or 3020 and a 4020. A 3020 was rated at 71 horse. They were basically a 4020 engine that was just 2 cylinders cut off. Same bore, same stroke, same pistons, same everything, but it was 2 cylinders shorter. So you can see the relation between the exhaust pipe and the dash cowl is just substantially shorter than a 4020. So it's a short hood 4020 is kind of what they are. 2 cylinders less and smaller axles was mainly the difference between a 3020 and a 4020, and a little smaller intake pipe. Just a few small differences throughout on a 3020 versus a 4020. Alrighty, well, I'm working on this 4020 here. I kind of clipped the rest of the video together as the differences between this tractor and that one there, and then the 3020 there. But this is a very clean 4020, and I've got a lot of good compliments on it. Thank you guys so much. Working on getting everything switched over to that I want to save, which was my open station fenders. My ROPS will be on the other tractor there. And this is a original sheet metal, and yeah, it's not been painted, and I may paint it in the future, but right now it's original paint. But you can see there is not a dent in that at all. I mean, it's just, that is just so perfect of sheet metal. I had a hard time finding this. It even has the original 12-volt sticker right there. And same with these fenders. You're just not going to find any rust at all. You can see right in there. It's just, I mean, those are just absolutely perfect. And the only thing you're going to see for ripples in is where they're supposed to be. That's, again, original paint. The only ripples you're going to see is where the factory welds were from the other side. Original lens. It's just beautiful shapes. I didn't want to sell my fenders. I gave quite a bit of money to get those originally when I bought them, so I'll be keeping those. And we have the canopy top, so it's set up the way I like it right now. Just open station fenders, and I did put some Chinsey homemade brackets on here. I didn't want to drill anything in those fenders, so I just bolted into the factory bolts, and we actually spaced it so it doesn't even rub the fender. So I can take those off and it won't even scratch them. But I did get my K&M seat put on there. That was not easy. It's much more comfortable, but it was not easy to get mounted because the stupid thing had an offset design to it. But I got that mounted up there. We bought a new steering wheel. It's an A&I. Absolutely terrible steering wheel. Didn't fit worth a crap. But yeah, I got a lot of good compliments to this tractor. Appreciate that again. It was missing these side screens when I got it, so I ordered those through A&I. Again, not too impressed the way they fit. Hood's really straight on this. You know, it looks good after it got buffed out. Turbocharger kits, all M&W original. And there's a patch up here, and this was part of the M&W kit. And these were to fill the round hole. So the later series 4020s, which came out in '69, had a side console for the hydraulic levers, so they no longer had them underneath the dash. They had different rocker shaft covers. These were gone. The dashes were different. PTO was actually there. Quite a bit improved tractor. I personally like the levers in the dash. I like the early ones better because they seem awkward to me over there on the side, because you have some of the controls here and a few random ones over there. But you know, pick your poison, doesn't matter. They're actually kind of an improved tractor because they had you could choose the speed selection on the SCV outlets in the back. Anyway, I'll buff these fenders out next and call it good with them. This is not a restoration tractor. This will be being used, so I like it clean. You guys know how I keep my stuff, but it's not going to be 100% restored. Gonna go ahead and somebody's cut this down. I got a new bowl ordered, so it'll be nice and clear. Gonna put the original height air stack on it, and I'm gonna put the pre-cleaner kind of like that 4010 has there. You can see the screen. I'm gonna get that put on there. And this muffler, it's a 4240 muffler, and you can see where it comes out of the M&W here. And then they've fabricated it on there, and I already got comments that the muffler looked like crap. I agree. So I've already ordered a new muffler. My goal is I'm actually going to have a 4430 muffler. In fact, this patch, I'm going to maybe take it off, see how it could maybe be modified. But I don't want to make something that looks bad. I want to get a 4430 muffler and go on up with it. So it kind of gives it a 4320 look to it. And again, right now we're just fixing little things on this tractor. Getting stuff squared up. I got those original battery boxes, and they fit so even and nice. Somebody did make a step down there that's coming off next. I'll buff my fenders out. Those are, again, original fenders. I actually got to take a couple weights off. It's got 4 weights. I got to take a couple weights off. Dual hubs are going to be going on. And I got 4 new tires for across the rear. The 30-20 duals will be on here. And this thing's just going to look great. 18.4, 34 rears. And it's just going to look like a great tractor. So quite happy. I'm having fun doing it, but I am also ready to be done with it and have it where I want it to be, and I'm going to be using it. So this will be getting the 158 loader on it, by the way. That's the plan right now. And all new tires across the rear, and probably new front tires and new rims. I'll sell the tires that are on here now. So stay tuned for that and more. And this project just keeps on going every day. I'm getting more done on it, and it's coming out looking pretty good. But I'm a nut and bolt guy, so I make sure that every pin and hardware is correct, and every decal and everything is original. And I would rather have original stuff like this on here than I would to have the fancier paint, because again, this is getting used, but I like clean stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoy the videos, and hopefully you like the old tractor, and you'll be seeing it in more videos coming up. So thanks for watching.